Hey everyone, welcome to another review here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, and I'm joined today again by my fellow geek buddy Shannon McClung to do this review of The Old Guard from Netflix that stars Charlize Theron and Kiki Layne and Matthias Schoenarts. I hope I said that right, Matthias fans. Shannon, how are you, man?
Good, Johnny. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this one with you because we're both comic book guys. You know, we do co-host the Geek Buddies with our friend Michael Vogel, so we like getting into the comic book stuff. This was one. We'd seen a couple of trailers. We talked about it, I think, on the Geek Buddies. We were a little excited to see what this whole film was going to be about. It's a 2-hour and 5-minute film. Basically, it's a group of mercenaries that are all centuries-old immortals with the ability to heal themselves. They discover someone is onto their secret, and they must fight to protect their freedom. As I mentioned earlier, Charlize Theron's in this, Kiki Layne, Matthias Schoenarts, Marwan Kenzari, Luca Marinelli, Harry Melling, Van Veronica and Go, and Chiwetel Ejiofor, all in this cast here, and it dropped on Netflix just a few days ago. Shannon, what was your overall feeling after you watched this movie?
Well, I was very excited to watch it. One, just to have anything new, but also Charlize Theron. Generally, in any sort of action film, I've enjoyed, even if I have not found the film to be that compelling. I've enjoyed her. She's a magnetic presence on screen. She kicks ass like nobody's business. I saw this. I ended up watching this one again just because I was like, let me make sure I'm as ho-hum on this as I left feeling the first time. Right. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think there's some decent action in it. I think for the most part, the performances are solid across the board. I thought the direction was good. I thought overall what really lacked, though, was the script. Film is a show, don't tell medium, and we get told a lot in this. And granted, it is probably a smaller budgeted film for what it could have been or what it needed to have been. But overall, and I'm thinking specifically about when Niall gets introduced to the other immortals in that church in France, and how they're talking about how Booker died in the Napoleonic Wars. Right. Joe and Nikki killed each other repeatedly in the Crusades. I'm like, God, it'd be great to see that. I mean, we see the flashback of Charlize Theron with Quinn and the other, and I think his name is Lycan, the guy who dies, the first immortal that they see die, I guess. I'm kind of like, this doesn't really come back at all. Why didn't you use that sort of period budget for these characters who were on this journey with the whole time? I would say overall, here's what I would say. I'd say the overall, the film for me splits at the halfway mark. The first hour of the film is a little bit of a chore to get through because of all the groundwork they're trying to lay down. It seems like the film's a bit confused. Does it want to be a standalone film, or does it want to be a film that sets up a franchise and a series of films related to the Old Guard? This is a comic book series brought to you by Greg Rucka. He also wrote the screenplay for the movie, so maybe there are some dings to be taken, for him to take rather, for his script. I don't deny that. Certainly knows Frank Miller isn't good at writing screenplays most of the time, so it's not a fault necessarily of comic creators that they can't quite transfer that skill over to screenplay writing. But after the halfway mark of the film, about an hour and 5 minutes after Kiki Layne has that discussion with Matthias Schoenarts at night by the fire, the film starts to pick up a little bit of steam, and I actually enjoyed the last hour of the film a lot more than the first hour of the film. It may be because it was more action-oriented, which is what I was looking for. There was more kick-ass fights. There was more reasons for why the fights were happening. But I'll tell you, as much as I enjoyed the action, as much as I enjoyed the second hour of the film, I have to say, overall, though, I didn't feel like this is as strong of an effort as I was hoping for. I think it ties into two things. Chiwetel Ejiofor should not be playing the assistant to the villain. That's kind of a big mistake, I think, in my opinion. He is not at that level anymore, and I know what happens to his character at the end. There's a reason for that, blah, blah, blah. However, is his name Harry Melling or whatever his name is? The guy who plays, Harry Melling. I know he's Dudley Dursley and all that, but he comes off really as a very flaccid villain. He does try to play the billionaire angle and all of that, but it doesn't really help. He's such a flaccid villain that you don't ever feel the stakes that they're not going to get away with it, that they're not going to somehow find their way out of it. I think that's the frustrating part of this whole film, is that I never feel the stakes of what they're going for, right? Introduce a villain to me that is ancillary to the overall plot or not essential to the overall plot, then I don't understand what was the point of even having them, because really the villain was time.
the villain is time. And I think that should have been the focus more than anything else, especially with what happens with Charlize. Also, Shannon, I would say they introduced that iconic weapon, and make a big deal on the economy, and they never explain it. It's ironic that they explain everything else for you as you go through the film, but that one weapon, they never quite get into the reasons for why that weapon is so revered and sought after by everybody who holds it.
Agreed, John. And I think that's one of the challenges with a story like this, when you're dealing with people who don't know why they are. They don't know where they came from. Yeah. So explain, and that's a choice if you want to do that. Like that can make for an interesting journey, that you have these people kind of feeling around in the dark over centuries, figuring out, what is my purpose? Why me?
Right.
So don't leave anything else up to chance. I mean, explain everything else, because yes, that axe, that sort of circular axe that she has, when at that opening action scene where they all get mowed down and we see her take that out for the first time, like, oh, this is a cool moment. Yeah. We don't really see it again until the end, which is one of the coolest shots I've seen in an action movie in a long time. But also the performance of Kiki Layne, who overall I thought she was a little uneven throughout the movie. Yeah. But I really liked her in that last moment where she tackles Dudley Dursley out the window and just oh shit, as they're falling to the ground. Right. The thing that I think, I wouldn't say that I'm the most erudite moviegoer, because I like to be taken on a journey. Like I'm very forgiving when I want to go on the ride. And when I picked out at the beginning that Booker was the bad guy, I'm like, oh, this is, I don't know if this is telegraphed as much.
Oh, you saw it coming a mile away. You saw it
100%. Okay. 100%. After he said, guys, it all checked out. Sorry. And I was like, I wonder if he's the bad guy. Then when you have that sequence in the church where they kidnap Joe and Nikki and they leave him, I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. If you're trying to get all of them, why would you leave one of the guys? And maybe that was explained. I don't think it was. But listen, there are movies like this is getting pretty good reviews. Yeah, across across the board. So there are movies that don't connect with us as individuals. Yeah. Whenever I hear someone who doesn't like The Goonies, it baffles me. But the same can be said. Like, there are some people like, I'm just not into Star Wars. And I'm like, God, why?
It's a weird thing when you hear it, but
And this might just be one of those movies.
Yeah, but once again, the thing that bothers me about the film, or kind of the film stubs its toe on this idea that it doesn't know what it wants to be, a standalone film or a film that sets up the franchise. Even the ending is a setup for more films. So for me, but like The Matrix is its own thing, right? And then you can bring sequels through there, but this is set up to be a franchise builder. And look, I get it. Look, Charlize Theron absolutely kicks ass. She acts well in the movie. This is something she could do in her sleep. She's so good at it. I agree with you about Kiki Layne. A little bit uneven. There are times you got the phony, tough stance, and then she really settles into the character later on. And maybe that's a progression thing as an actress, that she's choosing to play her a little more uneven or unconfident, even though she's covering up that unconfidence by saying things like, by trying to act badass. It isn't until later on in the film, when she fully embraces what she's supposed to do and what she wants to do, that she really settles into being pretty kick-ass as a fighter and what have you. And I do enjoy, got to give a shout out to to Marwan Kanzari and Luca Marinelli, Joe and Nikki having that gay storyline throughout the movie. At times, I got to be honest with you, at times it feels really kind of forced in there, and other times it feels organic and natural. So I would have liked to have it aired more on the organic and natural than just shoved in there to have these moments. But maybe it's just something new in an action film, and I kind of have to get used to it. I don't know, but I know for me, it didn't 100% feel organic within the flow of the movie whenever they had their scenes of tenderness throughout. So, but I think Chiwetel Ejiofor does a nice job. However, the character is kind of underwritten, because you think it's one thing, then something happens like, oh, let me completely change my mind and be the other way. So I just think there should have been a little more done here. Ironically, that's the thing that overall about the film. Ironically, it over-explains certain moments, and even the music at times, Shannon, is a bit on the nose about what's happening. And look, there's nothing wrong with those songs. The songs are great, but it's a bit on the nose about what's happening instead of letting the action speak for itself, or letting the events of the film, of whatever's going on in that scene, speak for itself. And I think that's where I would ding the film as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot being stuffed into this movie, and I think I actually said this on our Geek Buddies episode. There's they're trying to serve too many stories.
Yeah.
You have the discovery of the immortals, you have Ejiofor's motivations, whatever they be, that are tied to the villain. You also have the new eyes that's Niles basically our entryway into the world.
Right.
You have Charlize Theron's guilt with what happened to Quinn. I'm like, this is a lot. Like maybe should have taken a couple of these story points out and saved those for another story and really fleshed out what you had.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Chiwetel Ejiofor character is really the one, man, because it's presented as kind of a villain and a person again, and then all of a sudden he's tricked. He's like surprised that a billionaire would want to take this for himself and put these people in torture for centuries or for hundreds of years. Like, it's just you're a CIA guy. This should be what you know, like at like the back of your hand. You should know the secondhand about it, or second nature rather, about people like this. You know,
you should be smart. You should be smarter than this.
Exactly. You should absolutely be smarter than this. So there was some. It's not about saying, well, the film should have been this. It's not that. It's more taking the film for what it presents and analyzing it. And that's what we're doing here when we're reviewing the movie. And it didn't 100% get there for me. I agree with you, Shannon. I thought the second half, though, very enjoyable, much more enjoyable than the first half. And maybe that's just part of an origin film sometimes. Certainly Lord of the Rings is that way. Fellowship of the Ring, first hour, kind of tedious with all the running. Then it really kind of kicks into gear once they start on their mission. So, that's my own thing. But Shannon, what did you think? What would you rate this 1 to 10? What would you give this film right here?
I'm going to give it a generous 6.
Oh, nice. Okay. I would give it about a 6.5. A 6.5. I think there was more. Well, you know what? I will jump up to 7. I think a 7 is good. I think better plot points, better work amongst the characters would have helped this film be a little more richer, but the action sequences are well done. When we get to see them, the action sequences are really well done. So you got to give some credit to that. And certainly some credit to the director, Gina Prince-Bythewood. I think she was supposed to do the Silver and Black movie and it didn't really work out with Sony at the time. So shout out to her as a director. She's done she wrote Love and Basketball. She's done what else has she done here? She's done Beyond the Lights, The Secret Life of Bees, which a lot of people liked, and she did direct Love and Basketball as well. So certainly still a director trying to work her way up. And so hopefully this kind of gets her more going. Maybe they bring her back to kind of work on the second film in this series, because I imagine, judging by the numbers, there's going to be a sequel.
Yeah, and I think for her first action film effort, it's outstanding. It's really, really outstanding. Again, the only ding that I really give the movie is the script, which I think could have been better. Yeah. Fair point.
And that's, as I said, that's Greg Rucka who wrote that one. So, it's based on his graphic novel and his series. So any shout outs for the cinematography or the score, or just overall, just a well-directed film?
I think it's a well-directed film.
Yeah.
The score, I think it more seemed like a 90s action movie that chose to use a lot of pop songs, which not bad, but it was like, oh, this is something that may not necessarily age well.
Yeah. Fair point. All right, well, there you go. That's our review of The Old Guard on Netflix now currently. So go and watch it if you haven't. Well, hopefully you knew there were spoilers on this. I'm going to put that in the title of the review. So hopefully you knew that before you got this far into the review. But let us know what you thought about our review. Let us know what you thought about the movie in the comments section below. Remember to like and share this video on your social media and give it a like. The more comments you leave, the more likes you leave on any of these videos here in the Outlaw Nation. It raises the attention of the channel and this video in their algorithm as well. So please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, maybe you're stumbling upon us for the first time here on the Outlaw Nation. Give it some love. Subscribe. There's a lot of content on here that you can enjoy, and there will be more movie reviews and reviews of TV series coming down the pike for the Outlaw Nation as well. Shannon, where can they find you?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung, on Instagram at Shannon the Geek Buddy.
There you go. And you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And don't forget, we also do the Geek Buddies every week on the Outlaw Nation channel. You can watch that on Thursdays on the Outlaw Nation channel, or listen to it on the Geek Buddies podcast feed, which you can find anywhere you download podcasts. All right, that's it from us. We'll talk to you next time with another movie review from the Outlaw Nation. Take care. Until then.